So there he says it directly.
There's absolutely no reason for me to update that framework because it is efficient enough to run on a smart fridge at maximum capacity.
Well, does he have any evidence to back up this claim that it runs on a smart fridge? He does. Incredible. So he gets it to run on a smart fridge. Or maybe not. Pirate software isn't done getting milked. And admittedly, I'm still thirsty. Jokes aside, just a couple hours ago, I did a live stream covering a couple of the more recent things that have gone on with pirate software. But this video is specifically talking about a live stream that he had just done at the time of recording this yesterday. It is currently 1 a.m. I'm going over his response to Coding Jesus and how he doesn't really go after any of the critiques that he left in the video, aside from a major point that we're going to talk about, and actually interview the game dev that Coding Jesus had in his video. There'll be a link to that video in the description. But I focused on that in the beginning. I actually have a response that I read through from Coding Jesus himself. And then following that, Pirate gives this reason over and over and over again about how it doesn't matter how optimized his game is, or how unoptimized, I should say. None of it matters because the game can run on a smart fridge. But maybe it doesn't. Last thing before jumping into the video, I have a special announcement. Introducing to you guys the SS Double Down. Now, this is the first merch that I have ever dropped outside of making stuff with my mom for my friends. And so we're doing a limited time drop. This is going to end on Friday. And this includes a hoodie and shirt with this really cool decal on the front. It's not doubling down if you're right, with a pirate version of yours truly. And then on the back side of it, we have this beautiful, for those that will scream, he's doubling down. Yes, I damn well am. With this absolutely beautiful decal with the SS Double Down ship and a nifty little Quinker Nation flag down below. We also have a shirt version of it as well. And like I said, this is a limited time drop. We're ending it on Friday, July 18th, just so that we can get all of the orders in and then ship them out. And there's two specific things to note. So number one, 35% of all the revenue that will be generated here, I'm going to be donating that to Ross, the leader of the Stop Killing Games initiative. Now, to make this clear, Ross is not a fan of drama. He's made that very clear multiple times. So please don't try roping him into this. I'm doing this on my own accord. I didn't talk to him about doing this. But secondly, I don't want you to feel obligated to buy my merch to support Ross. The way that I'm doing it is I'm just going to take that 35% and donate it to him on his website. This is his website, and he actually has a tab for donations specifically. So in the description, I'm going to leave a link to Ross's website if you would prefer just to donate to him directly. And then below that, I'll leave a link down to the merch. I just think that Ross has worked his ass off for the last year, pushing and pushing, and he's, you know, the main reason that we have this opportunity to have that conversation about being able to preserve video games. But now, of course, with all that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. To get started, let's first talk about Coding Jesus and his video and how Pirate chose to react to said video. So here's one of the first ones.
What do you think about Coding Jesus calling you out? I think he's striving to be relevant so he can sell you more $360 an hour training sessions.
Real king, yeah. So we've got that one. Let's see this.
You're gonna respond to the new Coding Jesus video? No, the dude's just trying to generate as much content out of me as possible because it's really popular. And the reason he's doing that is likely for financial reasons. I mean, trying every single day to put as much content out as possible for me.
Every single day to put out as much content as possible? What am I, chopped liver? So he shows this. Coding Jesus 60-minute consulting session, $350 US. Geez, that seems like a steep price to pay. Okay, next one.
Oh yeah, no, Snowhawks, it's highly profitable is really what it's come down to now. At first it started because they didn't like my take on a political initiative, and now it's turned into how much money can I milk out of this? So have fun.
Okay.
322 already? Yeah. No resets every day, yeah.
Oh, you're going to hear a number that he keeps calling out that's going to get bigger and bigger. That is the amount of bans that they are doing on people in his stream at that point. It actually gets over 1,000 for this day. But, okay, another one there. It's just for milking. You tell him, you know, Coding Jesus bad, terrible, bad faith actor.
You respond to the code review already? Code review video? You have a person that is obsessively creating videos of all of my content on a framework that I wrote 8 years ago in a program that didn't have structs at the time. Why are they doing that? Because it makes good money. And they also give you a course for resume review for $350 an hour.
Oh, told him again. All right, so he really thinks this is a marketing ploy of Coding Jesus to sell his package, right?
On top of that, you have a person that's just doing this because it's popular to do those types of call-out posts right now. It's really good views. Views equal money, especially when you have things like a conflict of interest where you're sitting.
Oh, there it is. 560 bans at this point.
They're doing stuff like 60-minute consultations for $350 an hour.
Dude, yeah. 60-minute consult. Oh my gosh, he's so right.
So you can make money off of people trying to get jobs.
Trying to get jobs. So the implication there, right, that Pirate is making is that Coding Jesus is doing these consultations to prey on people trying to land jobs. Okay, right. Here's the next one.
It's more people will be like, oh, Coding Jesus. Brah, brah. I already explained the whole thing. If you want it, someone probably clipped it. That's a lot of money to ask that question, though. You don't need to do that. But at the same time, man, I don't give a shit about this drama.
Dang, that's a lot of money, man. Anyway.
Next review drops in 50 minutes. Yeah, and I'm sure he's going to love the ad revenue from it. It's just a financial incentive to keep making those, dude.
Got it.
Yeah.
This is Editor Connor, and I just don't know why I never made this point while I was actually covering this on live stream. This idea that this is all done just to generate revenue and make money off of the situation. I mean, kinda. Number one, I just think that that is way more applicable to me because I am a drama channel. I cover drama and relevant topics. Like, I am a trend surfer. That's how my channel works. But even when you look at Coding Jesus, like, yes, he makes all of his content to make revenue. If YouTubers did not get paid to do YouTube, most of them would not be here. It would be like old school YouTube where people weren't earning money for covering and making videos. Like, why did Pirate start streaming? It was to generate money to support the game that he was developing and show its development over the course of time. His excuse for why he isn't working on Heartbound more now is because he's streaming to make money so that he can help with the ferret rescue and the 17 employees that he's hired with the moderators and all the full-time stuff. I think he's being a bit reductive when he's saying it's just for the money, because I like to do something where I'm trying to give more of a balanced take, give you guys both sides of it. In Coding Jesus, as you're just about to see, it's not like he's only making drama content. He is a plethora. He's already well over 100K subs before this Pirate Software stuff started. He's helping other people that like to code or are looking to do it as a profession. He's helping them and teaching them ways to better optimize their code and learn together and help improve each other. And you don't have to take my word for it. You'll see that shortly, but I just wanted to throw this in there because I never really go in depth about that point.
He charges $350 to review what now? He charges $350 to review a resume for 1 hour. And that is a public thing that he put up.
It's public, yeah. How ridiculous that's public, right?
For a dude calling himself Jesus, he's pretty good at casting the first stone, let me tell you.
All right, this kind of goes hard. All right, you can give shit to Thor for anything. That off the dome, kind of a bar. True or not, kind of a bar. I think Coding Jesus can admit it as well. He kind of cooked there.
For a dude calling himself Jesus, he's pretty good at casting the first stone.
Damn! You tell him, man. At the end of the day, Pirate deserves call-outs when he's got some good shit. Like, he thought about that one for a while. He pulled that right off the notes app. Yeah. And then I think, okay, the last one that I have here, and I missed like the last 2 hours weren't saved here, but it's like one more time that he shows the smart fridge shit. And then we got this.
Thor might have some really bad code. Bro, that framework was written 8 years ago in GameMaker Studio 1.4 before Strux existed.
8 years ago. Okay.
He's reviewing a framework that's 8 years old on a game that still runs perfectly.
Still runs perfectly, yeah.
It's literally just to farm you for ad revenue.
That's what we got to start with, and then I have these other colors here. But let's address that first, because I actually spoke with Coding Jesus, and I got a bit of information with him that I'd like to share with you guys. So this $350 session, I wonder what that entails. Let's take a look, yeah? So this is Coding Jesus's response. Has 5 years as a C++ low level in proprietary quantitative trading. Number 2, he's been offering this specific thing for 3 to 3.5 years. The first 2, it was $150 an hour. And then I got overwhelmed and decided to purposefully make it expensive to prevent so many people from booking my time. Last 1.5 years, I lifted it. So he raised it then. Okay. So fun fact, I'm an acting coach. I did acting coaching for about 2 years, and then I haven't really done any recently. I started by charging $30 an hour. By the end of it, because I was working with more people, I had raised the price to $90 an hour because it came with my experience and the fact that I was able to help book people. That's why you raise your prices, because you gain expertise, you gain skills, you gain a resume to kind of, proof of concept that I know what I'm doing and I'm helping people. So yeah, that's kind of the standard when you're offering a service like this. That's just kind of how it works. I am on the low end of acting coaching, by the way. $90 an hour is low end, but that's because I was working with people, like I'm not down in LA working. Let's move on. Number 3 here. That I did for free but prioritize members if there were any, and you need to pay at least $1.99 to be a member. So it's essentially $1.99 for half an hour, lol, essentially free. So he was doing this for his members on live streams regardless. And then here, number 4, I also do hundreds of free mock technical interviews live for anyone who wants to call in. And then he included 4, 8, 12, 16 of these live streams where he was doing what he is offering for free. And then over here, I do bi-weekly calls with my patrons on Discord that I stream as well, and that's $15 a month for access. So I have a range of services at various price points. The more private and personalized it is, the more I charge. So maybe that makes sense. It's a one-on-one thing. When I was doing workshops where I was acting coaching for a group of like 20 people, my rate was lower because I was just working with a bunch of people. It wasn't intimate. I wasn't working solely with one individual and perfecting their stuff. That's a lot more rigorous. So yeah, that does make sense, doesn't it? I think like anyone that's done this kind of service stuff understands that. But then lastly here, this is super helpful. I built an entire platform to help people smash the technical interview for free called getcracked.io with over 300 free software engineering interview problems. 20% off with code Pirate Software. What a guy. So, little shameless plug at the end there. But so I would say that that kind of justifies a price point like that, especially when that's just how the market works. If you're getting a lot of people willing to pay this much and you need to lower that amount of people, you raise the price. $5. Thank you so much, Sweaty Betty. Pirate explicitly called you out as a content farmer in his chat today. I know better. You're just trying to make him open his damn eyes. Keep going. Oh, don't belittle that. I am a content farmer. That is what I'm doing for a living here. Like, absolutely. I like to go over it and analyze and make good points and try to keep it like objective to some degree so that you guys can kind of decide if, you know, you're in like whatever we're covering, you end up getting to pick. I like to give the unbiased. I fuck up, like I make mistakes. I'm going to have bias no matter what. I can say that all day. That's just a buzzword. But actually covering it and going into detail, like we're going to be talking about one that initially I was kind of like, this is fucked up. But after looking back on it, I honestly think that it's kind of a nothing burger. We'll get more into details. But so we have the Coding Jesus stuff. I think we cover that pretty well here. So thank you, number 1, for hopping in, but also fantastic work in the video with Coding Jesus. Admittedly, it's a bit over my head, but you guys went really in depth, specifically talking about that shader thing. But the specific question that I wanted to ask you, so in regard to the response that Pirate has had, that essentially it was 8 years old. The coding was done 8 years ago on a different part of the game maker, and that kind of disputes that. What is kind of the response to that?
In my opinion, I think that even 8 years ago, there were much better alternatives to the system that he made, and there were a lot of better ways to do it.
And better in what way?
Well, mainly for performance. So his code is pretty abysmal for performance. And I will admit, I'm not actually sure where he uses it in his game. I'd love to know if anyone does, but if you were to use this system that he'd created, 8 years ago, in any significant way, I think in-game, if you used it like multiple times or across a larger scale, like or a larger sized object, it would create like massive performance issues. The approach that I used, it was an alternative approach, and it's just one of many examples, I think, of a way that it could have been done better. And I'm fairly certain that even 8 years ago, it could have been done in largely the same way. I don't really think that point really holds true that Pirate Software has made, in my opinion.
So Coding Jesus, thank you again for the $5. Remember, he should have had 12 years of experience at that time. So I think it's, again, going for this angle of, you know, this is somebody that should have been experienced enough to do it in a more optimized way. I would say the only counterpoint that I'm thinking of, and we're going to get into his argument about that it can run on a smart fridge, but outside of that, from what I've understood, there haven't been a lot of call-ins or like issues that have presented due to his game having terrible bugs. I could be wrong on that, but from my understanding, if the game is able to run and bugs don't appear, like because it's this, 2D pixel game, right? Like having worse code doesn't necessarily end up impacting like the end product for the users if they're able to consistently run it at 60 FPS, like he was pointing out.
Right.
Like outside of it just being like a good teaching moment, like Coding Jesus pointed out in his video and showed, examples and like how you also did that in his video. Is there any other reason that it would be, regardless of who does it? Okay, yeah.
Well, obviously, you can have in game design, you can have suboptimal systems like that. They can be bad for performance. You can have things that don't work perfectly that could be done better. Sure. But in the end, I think if you keep, letting yourself kind of fall to that standard where you keep having these sort of really, in this case, pretty terrible sort of system, terrible for performance, terrible in use as well, not super universal. Regardless, if you have many of these cases, I think eventually it will catch up to you, and it's going to make things harder in the long run. Even if you don't, even if it's just sort of an isolated instance like this, I mean, it could be said that, yeah, sure, it's fine. It doesn't affect the end game. But I think still, for someone who at the time, I don't remember how many years at this point he's claiming, but someone who claims to be very experienced in what he's doing, I don't think he should have written code like that. That's just what I think.
So more of like a based off of his, you know, the reputation that he tried to build up and the resume that he's pointed out with a couple of, you know, years difference in different time frames, you would expect that it would have just been done in a much more optimized way, regardless of if he needed it to be.
Yeah, for sure. And another thing is, you know, while a lot of people probably won't notice any sort of performance impact, I think you also have to account for when you're designing games, you have to keep in mind that some people are going to be running it on lower end hardware. And even if your poorly optimized code might run fine for you, there could be instances with people with lower end hardware specifically who might have performance impacts and see stutter and frame drops in game. And I think that does matter.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I think those are really good points. That makes it way more understandable as to where kind of like it was being attacked at and what the refute was. Cause I just personally, I don't understand that, or like him bringing up struts, which apparently he wasn't even using, or like you wouldn't need to use.
The system that I made didn't use structs either. I'll just point that out.
Right. Yeah. And I think Coding Jesus pointed that out too. Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much for calling in. I really appreciate it. I'm glad I was able to understand that more now. Huge shout out to Level 5 Fish. Thank you very much for calling in here. So here's my issue. Even myself not understanding the 8-year thing, the struts, understanding how to code it in a more optimized way, or if that even matters, my biggest issue stems from his defense that he used, I think 8 or 10 times, which was that it doesn't matter that the game has these issues. It doesn't matter that it was coded improperly or that it could have been coded better. What matters is that Heartbound can run on a smart fridge. Now, not only did he say this, like I said, he said it nearly 10 times, and he also showed a video showcasing that. So first, let's go over every single time that he is talking about the fact that it runs on a smart fridge.
The thing that's really funny about that, Heartbound was made in GMS 1.4. Yeah, structs didn't exist in that version. Never needed to update the framework because it still works in GMS 2. Doing a refactor for the sake of getting more performance out of something that runs on a smart fridge is kind of stupid and masturbatory at that point, man. And there's no reason for me to update it now because it runs on a smart fridge.
Here's another.
Heartbound runs on a smart fridge, so...
Runs on a smart fridge, that's huge.
And I could update now to have structs, but the framework doesn't need it because it runs perfectly, literally maximum frame rate that I need on a smart fridge.
A smart fridge, right.
The thing that's even weirder about that is the framework that they were reviewing on that, I wrote 8 years ago in Game Maker Studio 1.4. Structs didn't exist then. So like, why would I refactor that to add that later when it runs on a smart fridge? You looking forward to the next code review on the code I wrote 8 years ago in a framework that didn't have structs at the time that I don't need to update because I'm literally just writing dialogue for it? You know, the one that runs on a smart fridge still? There's absolutely no reason for me to update that framework because it is efficient enough to run on a smart fridge at maximum capacity.
So there he says it directly.
There's absolutely no reason for me to update that framework because it is efficient enough to run on a smart fridge at maximum capacity.
Because it runs on a smart fridge, your opinion is doo-doo better, and it sucks. It runs on a smart fridge, eat my balls.
Heartbound runs at 20 FPS? No, it doesn't. The shit runs at 60 FPS on a freaking smart fridge. Is he farming for ad revenue? Does he have legitimate critique? He's critiquing 8-year-old code that was written in Game Maker Studio version 1.4 in a framework that doesn't need to be updated performance because it runs on a smart fridge.
Because it runs on a smart fridge, ladies and gentlemen. And just in case you didn't hear that the last, I don't know, bajillion times, here it is one more time.
You'd still shit today. It runs at 60 FPS on a smart fridge. It doesn't need to change. Literally runs on a smart fridge.
So, runs on a smart fridge. Now, I've been holding something away from you guys here. Structs. I thought they were struts this entire time. Shows my intelligence here. This smart fridge claim. Well, does he have any evidence to back up this claim that it runs on a smart fridge? He does. Matter of fact, he shows that evidence 4 times on stream. I believe actually 5, but that was at the end of the stream. Matter of fact, actually, let me just show you the video because we have a link to it that is unlisted. Also, just really quick. So this is made by someone who listened to Thor saying, hey, if you make Heartbound work on a smart fridge, I'll send you a challenge coin. Do not send any hate to this person. They were kind of doing that. This is, you know, during that time. So again, please don't go after this dude.
Game on.
So he's taking a power bank, looks like a Raspberry Pi, and a laptop here. Yo. Incredible. So he gets it to run on a smart fridge, or maybe not. Maybe this isn't running on a smart fridge. So far, from the people in my Discord that have been kind of looking over this video, and a lot of other people that have been looking over this video, the leading assumption here is that this is using the smart fridge's screen. It's just using the screen. It's like hooking up an Xbox to a tube TV. The tube TV is not running the game. It's just acting as a monitor. So that's the argument here. And that has to do with this setup with the Raspberry Pi, the laptop here, and the power bank as shown here. The assumption is that we're running off of is that, and that's okay. Like, I'm not gonna knock this guy for getting this set up on a smart fridge. That's incredibly impressive, something that I could never do. But also there's this part at the beginning. And this is another kind of a theory from the Discord. In this part specifically, he goes over and is downloading this APK. So APK, for those who don't know, that's the file that Androids run. I used to crack a few Android games in my time, and it was just all APK files. By crack, I mean just download it illegally, allegedly. It's not true. But so that's how I recognize APK. But the theory for that is to allow the smart screen to be interactive, like on the smart fridge. The screen to be interactive on the smart fridge, you'd have to set up some sort of APK thing to allow the touchscreen to work. I could be wrong. That is a theory. Again, none of this is confirmed. I actually reached out to the creator of this video to look for a comment, or I actually had some people on my behalf and let them know it was coming from me, because I'm not trying to, trick the guy, but I just wanted to see if he could verify how he had done this. Because if we have that information, then we could just put this to bed once and for all. Kind of waiting to see if he'll respond. And again, if he does, and it ends up being, no, he did actually successfully run it off the smart fridge, I will make an update and talk about it. As it stands, what we're running on is that this smart fridge is not running the game. It is just acting as a screen. So his argument that he doesn't need to improve it, doesn't need to optimize it, maybe he's right if he wasn't using the claim that it's running on a smart fridge, because everything is pointing to it's not running on it. It's just using it like a TV. It launched, I mean, it looked like it launched. For all we know, it launched from the laptop, and the laptop had mirrored its screen to the smart fridge through the setup that he had. Another interesting point in regard to why we're saying that is because if we take a look when he uses the laptop here, when he's showing that, it's called Heartbridge. He sets it up like this. So it has to do with like setting up a hotspot. So it's called Heartbridge here. This is on the laptop that he's using. Over here, when he gets over to the fridge, you can see here, and it's a little bit hard to see, you can see that it's connecting to Heartbridge, which means that it would be connecting to that laptop, assumedly, just because they share the names. Again, this is hypothetical. We don't know this for sure. With it connecting, that's what we're assuming is going on there. It's just that it was like continuing, like it wasn't being played. It just kind of ran that intro thing. Again, I think that's a bit pedantic at that point, because like maybe he could have, but he was panicking. He was in a Lowe's running on a smart fridge, like connecting in. That's the type of shit that gets you tackled at a store. That's the stuff that gets you tackled at a Best Buy. So I don't blame him for not like playing the game. The irritating thing, and the reason that I'm bringing it up again, is that he made this argument multiple times, as you guys just saw, that it's irrelevant for him to optimize the code or anything if it runs on a smart fridge. He could have said anything else. It doesn't matter, because I'm not getting bug reports about the things that you would see issues with how the game isn't optimized. He's not running into those issues, so why would it be a deal? And I agree with that. It's not a good precedent to set. It could screw him up in the long run, but that's more of like, making sure that you're, crossing your T's, dotting your I's. And I think that a good reason that Coding Jesus's video about it is really good and doesn't just focus on like the semantics of that is because he's offering ulterior solutions to help improve other developers that are making stuff. Could he have made the code better? Absolutely. For the sake of the game that he is putting out, I mean, maybe it does just need to be shitty code so that he could actually get it put out at some point, so that it doesn't pass the decade marker of being in development. Ulterior, alternative solution, my bad. That's where I'm kind of like, I get it. I guess I should also show you guys every single time that he does this. Here is the first time that he goes through and shows the video. This is him going through that. This marker where he shows the video again. Here we go. So that's 2. Count them 2. Moving on to the third time that he runs the video. Matter of fact, he usually does a very interesting intro for them.
You absolutely have to update this because it's so much more efficient. How much more efficient does it need?
Smart fridge. I will send you a challenge coin.
How much more efficient does it need to be? Shows the video for the third time, but that's not all. We got a fourth.
The lighting could definitely be improved to be more optimized. Let me explain to you why that doesn't matter.
Let him explain, guys.
We're gonna watch a little video together.
I will send you.
Anyone against you is farming? No, bro. It literally runs on a smart fridge. Look.
And then he runs it again. He can't help it. He's got to show the people, guys, it runs on a smart fridge. So again, you know, I could be wrong about that. Like, again, I'm not a super coding expert. I'm interested to see if I'll get a response from this gentleman to, you know, confirm, deny, explain like his process. It'd be super useful. And if I'm wrong about it, I'm happy to be wrong about it. I'm cool with that. I'm clearly out of my depth and I'm okay with that. Now that wraps up this video. Again, I'm very curious to hear what your guys' thoughts are on some of these points, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please be sure to leave a thumbs up, consider subscribing, join Quinker Nation on the Discord, and I'll see you guys later. Adios. Peace. Bye.